Okay, viewers, this is Dr. James VONDUTCH speaking, otherwise simply known as Dr. James Vond. And today's date is 11th of September 2025. It's a Thursday, and sometime in the American system they'd call it 9/11/25. And right now I'm beside the Coventry City Council headquarter building. See those international flags there flying? And I'm heading towards Broadgate in Coventry City Centre whilst I'm making this video, and I'd like to just continue from my previous video, which I was discussing or mentioning facts regarding my homelessness, and I did confirm, and I'll confirm it once again, that I was rendered homeless for plus 13 months and forced to sleep rough in my car for that length of time, and I had nowhere else to go to other than my car. Not a hotel room, not a room somewhere, not a family room or member or anyone offering me a room basically to go to and sleep. It was just my car that was there, and that was a distressing ordeal I went through before I was eventually discovered. Back in May 2024, just over a year ago, I was discovered, and about a month before the general election, a month or so before the general election that took place, and I was discovered by the homeless team, the outreach workers, that is, the Jesus Centre based homeless team on Lamb Street in Coventry. And that's who discovered me, and from there I was offered a 3-night stay at the Salvation Army hostel before eventually being given or offered supported housing, a room to myself in a shared house with other dwellers who are also homeless. And that's where I've been ever since, in supported housing. But it did take them a long time, a heck of a long time, to discover me as being homeless, plus 13 months in fact. A month or so is just about barely tolerable, but that was way too long. And like I said, the people who were in charge at the time, the politicians, I did mention them and I'll mention them again. The local MP for the Coventry area at the time who I spoke to was Zara Sultana, and she was a member of the Labour Party at the time. And the Labour Party was in control in the local area. So the local government was Labour, although nationally it was a Conservative government at the time. And the Conservative government leader was at the time Rishi Sunak. So that's important to remember as well. So I don't know if he has any say in it, but obviously they use them sort of people sometimes as their scapegoats. Maybe their background or something, that sort of card they play. So they do play politics. Maybe when those sort of people are in power, they think they can get away with things like this. You see, getting people like me out of the house and evicted. And I was on the phone all day and speaking to Zara Sultana frantically on that day when I was rendered homeless. Unfortunately, she couldn't get me a place, even for assistance through her secretary. And they failed to get me a house on the day, and also later on as well. And I had to endure sleeping rough in my car, and that was my best option at the time. And who are the other culprits? Well, it was Citizen Housing Group who initiated the action through their solicitors. And Citizen Housing Group, by the way, is based in Birmingham, not in Coventry, based in Birmingham. And the neighbourhood safety officer that was on the letter that was posted to me with the eviction date, etc., was Rachel Slater. And I can't remember the name of the judge in the Coventry County Court right now, but it was some other woman as well. She was at fault as well, that Coventry Court judge that failed to provide adequate provisions to protect my safety and well-being. As a vulnerable adult, obviously, where would I go to? What place of abode did I have to go to? I had none of those options. She left the onus onto me, and at a late time, just out of the blue kind of thing, and abruptly, where would I just find myself a place just like that, at the snap of my fingers, and especially when my limited means. So that's what I've got to get through to my viewers. That's what happened to me, and so they were at fault as well. Citizen Housing Group, and she's been taking action. That's the Neighbourhood Safety Action Officer, Rachel Slater, through their company in Birmingham, through Collins Solicitors. I think they're also based in Birmingham. So they presented possession orders to seize my house to Coventry County Court, and the judge just allowed it. Although they were saying they extended it as much as they could, my stay there, but that's not good enough reason. They didn't provide adequate provisions there for me to go somewhere else. They should have insisted on a housing company like that provide housing for me, a bedroom or a bed sit or something. If not a bed sit, just bungalow, anything. That would have been humane and civilized. But they didn't even give me a camper van or a caravan. I was worse than gypsies and Romani people, traveller people, that they regularly people in the media and in society look up to. Those sort of people are kind of demonized anyway. Romani people, gypsy people, travellers. I was worse than them. At least they've got caravans, camper vans and things. And that's really, really being overcritical for those sort of people. If on the other hand, people like me, local born here in Coventry, and I couldn't even get secure housing, not even a bedroom or a bed sit, or like I said, even a camper van or an improvised camper van. I've mentioned that as well in my videos, like one of those 999 ambulances converted into a camper van. It was an emergency, believe me, and it was like this today, 9/11, literally for me that day when I was rendered homeless, on the 26th of April, 2023. No one came to my assistance, no one came to my aid. I had to go through that brutal ordeal all on my own and survive that to tell you what, live to tell, my tale basically, what happened. And they just go home and go back to their beds or their bedrooms or their houses, wherever they live. There's nothing to them. They have a cosy living and they get paid as well. I didn't even have employment or anything. So I was on the minimum threshold of income anyway. Where would they expect me to go to, And what about the Home Office then? I mean, they provide refugees and asylum seekers hotel accommodation. So couldn't they have, been a bit more flexible, change their rules slightly and offered me maybe a hotel room stay? If they could do that with refugees, why couldn't they have done that with me, gone out the extra mile maybe? I mean, I'm kind of broken house guy anyway. But they weren't treating me with links here, like I've had links to this place. They were trying to treat me like worse than them, worse than a refugee. They're trying to just kept telling me to get out without any callous disregard, of my safety and well-being. So that's how horrendous it was. It was a very distressing time, of course, and it happened under Rishi Sunak government during his reign, and also when there's a Labour government here locally, and Zara Sultana was a local MP, and she had secretaries working for her. They couldn't find me a place. They knew my car was my best place, but they didn't really count on me having a car. I've got to let my viewers know I got that in the nick of time when I was rendered homeless. That was all I was able to do. That's the only help I could muster, get a car. There's no cavalry working out for me. Yeah, and you heard about gazebos and tents and all. That would have been ridiculous. But where would I have gone? I would have been sleeping rough in front of the shops, wouldn't I? Sleep in cardboard box. That would have been embarrassing and humiliating, as well as the creepy crawlies there and everything. Would I have survived and no harsh weather conditions? This happened during April, of course, 26th of April, 2023. That's when I was officially rendered homeless, told to get out, and they had bailiffs action to change the lock, so I couldn't even go back in. They were so desperate to, or how would I say, in a rush to get that house at all costs, regardless of what happens to me, my safety or well-being. and they just snatched it, seized that house, all because my late mother, who sadly passed away this year in January at a care home, was taken away and put in a care home. She was the main tenant of the house, and that's where the problems arose. When they snatched her out of the house, I was next in line, obviously, to be affected. I tried strenuously and frantically to get myself on the tenancy agreement as a successor, but they never allowed that to happen. They were initially allowing that, but then they changed their minds and said it was not us that are saying that. Administration ain't saying that. That was just a repairs person named Jordan who was speaking to you and saying he would put you on the tenancy agreement name so that you could pay the rent under your own name and be under obligation to pay the rent. And that was a big difference there. But they changed their line later on and said the administration have not said that, and they don't want to put you on a tenancy agreement name as successor or offer you an alternative place of abode that you could go to. So they even changed their line there as well. They could have easily have offered me a bedsit. They never. They had the resources as well. That's citizen housing group. So they were ruthless as well as the Coventry County Court judge at the time and the officials there. They're ruthless tyrants end of the day and dictats. And they made me homeless, forced me out of my house. They nicked my house, literally stole my house, fiddled it away. I would have been successor of that house. I would have inherited that as next of kin. And my mother sadly died away this year, but she suffered from dementia, so obviously she couldn't put my name on a will. That's the sad side of things because of her dementia. So she died at a care home this year, and what have I got to show? Obviously nothing. I'm in supported housing at the moment. It's terrible what's going on, and it's horrendous. And they did it to a guy who's a civilian, local, raised civilian here. I went through the schools here and the university here as well. Warwick University I attended. I graduated there with a physics Bachelor of Science back in 13th of July 1994. So that's got to be mentioned. Where was my help? None of my university people helped me. Anyone, not even the schools I attended to. And obviously, they might not have been. That was some while ago, but I did have some sort of email contact with the university. At least they could have done is that. And what did they expect? Someone like Lady Godiva to ride naked around her and help me out? That's ridiculous, isn't it? To raise some money for me or some funds. So they didn't even have the audacity or decency, to give me a camper van or something. If they didn't want to give me, a house straight away, a bedroom or something. I had a 3-bedroom house, by the way, and now I'm just reduced to one room in a shared house, and I don't even have my own en-suite room, by the way, anymore. So that's what's happened anyway. So I'm making this video today. I want the facts and spilled out and everything exposed there, and who were behind the atrocities. Obviously, sleeping rough in my car is a bad experience, but it's nowhere near as bad as going to prison, spending time there. Because I was in prison for going back to see my kids back in 2016 April. My stupidity there, I doubted those orders second time around. I don't think she was capable of doing that, but she was capable of, and obviously she made the call to emergency services on that day, and I was evicted, and I ended up in a hellhole prison sentence, serving 3 years for Section 20 GBH. That's my worst ordeal of my life, and this is my second worst. Obviously, sleeping rough in a car. But at least I was a free man, that's the main thing. I wasn't as bad as a prisoner. But I only wish that I had a camper van or something like that, maybe. If I did have to spend that time like that, it would have been a bit more humane, a bit more decent and civilised. But they obviously weren't into that. They were obviously into chastising behaviour, as always. Jailers and chastisers, that's all they are up here. That's all I can say. I'm going to end this video now. It's getting a bit long now, so I don't know if those